Hey guys, welcome to episode number 164. Today is Monday, so it's Update Monday, and I bet you guys can guess the topic of this video. It is algae. But before we get into that, I've got a few housekeeping things to talk about real quick. First of all is I promised you guys a full walkthrough of this setup, and I am planning on doing that. I do have two small pieces left to do here, one of which is an autodoser with a peristaltic pump, and I'll be releasing that video shortly. And the other is the drip system, and I've got the drip line right here, but it's not running yet. So once I have those two things operational, everything will be complete in here. And at that point, I will do a full walkthrough. I'll talk about all of the costs and products that went into this build, and hopefully you guys can take a little something from it. The other thing is I realize you guys have been waiting very patiently to get back to the clownfish and back to the turtles, and you'll be happy to know my Fan Friday video of this week will be focused on the clownfish, and the one after that I'll start to refocus on the turtles a little bit. But for right now, we have four 40-gallon tanks here and a heck of a lot of breeder boxes, and as you can see, there is a fair amount of algae going on. And this is pretty common, especially with really heavy lighting like I have here. Remember, these are the T5 high outputs. They're 54 watts per bulb, and there are 4 bulbs total. And you know, algae's gonna happen, and it's typical in a new tank to get an algae bloom until you can kind of get all of your parameters in check. Now, I've been doing daily water tests, and I haven't noticed anything spiking. So I'm not too worried about that, but what I am worried about is you know, the algae just kind of taking over. Like, as you can see, this breeder box is gross. I mean, you want to be able to see into your tanks. Now, for endlers, algae isn't really that big of a deal. They actually like green water. It's kind of where they came from. So they're perfectly pleased with the algae levels in the tanks. And as you can see, I've got some baby mystery snails starting to hatch, and they're perfectly happy with the algae. And the plecos in here, the bristlenose plecos as well, they're all happy with the algae, but it's a little unsightly for me, and it's hard to kind of keep track of what's in the tanks when you can't see all the way to the back of the tanks. Now, there's a couple reasons why I'm having an algae bloom right now. As I said, you know, it's a new system, so you need to kind of tweak everything to get it up and running, and to eliminate some of the potential algae. I've kind of, you know, algae can come from a number of different reasons. I've kind of narrowed it down to two things that I think are the primary cause of my algae in particular, and one of those is the lights, as I already mentioned. And you know, it's not so much the intensity of the light, but the number of hours that it's on. I've got the lights on probably a little too long right now. It's probably about, you know, 15 or 16 hours maybe, and when it should probably be more like 12. So that would probably help. So I might cut it back to like 14, and then, you know, maybe a little bit later cut it back to 10 or 12 and see if that helps. I could just shut the lights off for a good week straight, and that would kill all the algae pretty quick. But I'm not going to do that. I'll just let it kind of phase out over time. But the other reason why the algae's kind of gotten out of control here is there's really no competition for the nutrients that are in the water and the light that's entering the water. I do have some Java moss in a few of these tanks. There's a good clump of it there. There's some right there. There was quite a bit of it in here, but I did have the crayfish in there. These are the marbled self-cloning crayfish, and I believe they chewed it up quite a bit fairly quickly, and so there are just some scraps left. So I decided to throw out the scraps. And there is some of it hiding back there as well. So I do have some live plants in these tanks, but clearly it's not enough, and because it's kind of living on the bottom of the tank, it's kind of last to get that light. But it's a low light plant, so it doesn't really mind, but it can't really compete with the algae. And so one thing that I am going to do is add some more live plants to these tanks, and hopefully those will outcompete the algae. As I've said in the past, one really good plant for doing that are the red mangroves, and unfortunately I don't really have a whole lot of those left, so I'm not going to be adding those right now, but I am planning on picking more of those up shortly, and those will be going in the tanks. But if you guys have any suggestions on freshwater plants that might be able to outcompete my algae, something that might be able to live on top of the water or partially above water or just floating perhaps, that would be much appreciated. I know there are quite a few options out there. The biggest thing for me, and this is something to keep in mind with your suggestions, is it can't be something that's going to clog up my overflow, because this is number one. If this clogs up, I'm in trouble. So I've just kind of got a neti pot here with a little bit of a screening material covering it. But if that clogs up with plant matter, it's going to be lights out for that tank. So keep that in mind when you make your suggestions. Obviously the red mangroves won't be going anywhere. They'll just kind of be stationary, sitting above the water, and their roots do a really good job at absorbing those nutrients in the water. But for right now, everyone's doing really well, even though these tanks are really, really dirty. As I said, the marbled crayfish, here's the one mother I've had for her for about a year. She's given birth several times, and as you can see, we've got some babies. And they're getting pretty big, and actually that's a molt right there. All of these were in this tank, and yesterday I pulled them all out, and I've got 3 in this box, 3 in this box, 2 in this box, 3 here, 3 here, and 3 here, and 1 more over there. So, and those are the ones that have survived, each other, and survived molting in the same tank with one another. And it was interesting because not even 24 hours after I separated them all and put them in their own little cubbies, I gave some of them pieces of PVC pipe to hide in. I have to get more. But not even 24 hours later after doing that, a lot of them actually molted. So it just kind of goes to show you that they need a little bit of privacy in order to do that successfully. But yeah, guys, the algae is kind of a problem right now. I know the crayfish will eat a little bit of it. As you can see, like down here, a little bit more has been eaten than like up towards the top, and they're working on it, but they're not going to be able to keep up, not with these lights on. So that's kind of what's going on. Those are the 2 ways that I'm going to try to combat this and get it in line. But as you can see, this is the filter. And this is kind of like a pre-filtered pad, and this is like maybe 2 or 3 days of growth on the top of that pad. So there's a lot of algae and a lot of junk that's kind of going through the water, and it's just kind of clogging up the filter. So I'm definitely going to try to do my best to clean this problem up. It is fairly common, and I'm not too concerned about it. Because my nitrates are in check. So I hope this is just a phase, and as I said, the endlers don't really mind. They're actually doing really well. I've had several already drop fry. Let's see if we can see some. I know there's a bunch in this tank. There's some back here towards the top. I don't know if you can see them or not. There's some more over here. Several have already dropped fry, and they were smaller females when I got them, so they haven't had very large births yet. But I expect within the next few months they'll be full size, and then they'll start giving birth to more. At that point, hopefully I've gotten rid of some of these crayfish and I can open up some breeder box space for some of those pregnant females and their fry. And I just made an order to Ken's Fish to pick up a new can of brown shrimp eggs and some golden pearls and some veggie flake and some guppy flake. So hopefully between all of those foods plus the frozen bloodworms and frozen brine shrimp that I have, I'll be able to give them, you know, a good mix of foods and raise those up quickly and strong, and start shipping those out, because I know some people are waiting for them, and you know, I really just can't wait for the algae to be gone, because then I can just kind of sit back and look into these tanks and enjoy them. But anyways, guys, that's what's going on. If you have any other tips and tricks to help this algae problem along, let me know. But I think those are the two main causes of the bloom, and you know, hopefully I can get it under control fairly rapidly. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.